Hello everyone, welcome to my kitchen again. Today I'm going to show you how to make cannolis. Now the dough is very similar to how I made pie dough, so take a look at that video so you know how to mix that up. I'm going to have a link in the description of the recipe that I used, but I've already mixed up my dough. It's nice and cold, just like pie dough. It's all ready to roll out. You can roll this out with a rolling pin. It's just going to take you a long time and a lot of arm effort, so I'm going to use a pasta roller. It needs to be pretty thin, so it's going to make it a lot easier. First thing I'm going to do, this is half of the dough here. I'm going to take this and I'm going to cut it in half. I grab my bench scraper out of my drawer here somewhere. If you could see this drawer, you would understand my predicament right now. There is a lot of pastry items in here. Found it! Alright, so you want to cut it in half, because this is going to get very long and thin, and if you use all of this, you're going to have something that's like 6 feet long. Okay, so we're going to stick to a small piece. You want to start by pressing it thin and kind of square it off so you get an even piece, so it's not really small in one part and really thick in another part, because we need to cut this. We want to get as many circles out of it as we possibly can. So flatten it just enough so it'll go through the machine. So when you use a pasta roller, you're going to start off on 0. It has a little knob here that has a bunch of numbers. Start on the smallest one, which is 0. We're going to add just a little bit of flour to both sides. Sprinkle it, cover it up. Got some on myself. And now we're going to press it through the machine. So it has a little turn handle here. And we're going to slowly work its way through. Alright. So right now it does look very disheveled and ugly. So what you're going to do is you are going to fold it like a letter and press it back together. What we're doing is we are completing the kneading process of the dough, which is going to make it a nice smooth and sturdy dough. So now that I've pressed it through, I'm going to put it through one more time. Press it and roll it on through. Whoop. Again, it still looks a little rough. You're going to fold it in thirds. Press it together. And if it feels a little sticky, I've got some flour on my table here. Just gonna press it. Make sure it's not sticky so it doesn't get stuck and rip in the machine. One last time. Roll it through. And there we go. See, it looks a lot smoother than it did before. This way I know it's not going to fall apart on me as I start to get thinner and thinner. Alright, so now that we have started the kneading process and we're all done, we're going to go to the next number, which is number 1. And I'm going to roll this out until it's about 1/8 of an inch thin or thick, depending on how you think about it. And I think that'll be number 4. So I'm going to keep rolling and rolling. I don't need to fold it anymore. It's going to stay just like this. I'm going to feed it through the machine twice on each number. So I'm going to go 1 through, roll, roll, roll. I don't need to fold it anymore. I'm going to go through one more time. That way I know it's going to stay that thickness. It's getting longer and longer. So here we go. This is number 1. I'm going to go to number 2. Stay with me. I'm going to go all the way to number 4. So here we go. One more time. This will be the end. Whoop. Here we go. All rolled out, nice and thin. You can see this here. Now you don't need to add any more flour because it should not be sticky. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take our round cutter, which is handy in the drawer here. This is the largest round cutter that comes in the little set that you get. I'd say it's probably 4 inches. 4-inch round cutter works perfect for these. So all I'm going to do is just go down the line and cut them all. It doesn't matter if they are all perfect. You want them to all be nice and round, but if you have a part that has a little imperfection, we're going to be folding these over each other anyway, so don't worry about that. Cut them all, and you should have very little scrap dough left. If you feel the need to press this all back together, you can do that. I have more dough to work with, so I'm just going to throw this away because it's just a little bit. But waste not, want not. You can press it all back together, and then you just got to let it sit for at least 20 minutes in your fridge so it can relax and roll back out. Okay? So here, I'm tossing that away. I've got all of my circles cut out now. So I'm going to take plastic wrap and stick them all on top of the plastic wrap so they don't stick to my table. And then now that I've got them all on this plastic wrap, I'm going to cover them so they don't dry out. And this is just so they can kind of wait while I get my oil ready and while I get my egg wash. We'll talk about that in just a second. Alright, so while our oil is heating up, I'm going to show you how to prepare your cannoli molds. So these are your cannoli molds right here. Nice little hollow tubes. We have vegetable oil that we're going to cover all these guys in. Now this is important. If you don't put vegetable oil on your cannoli molds, your cannoli dough will stick and it won't come off. So I want to make sure these are nice and covered. Here I have egg whites, and that's what's going to keep the cannoli shells from opening up when they go into the fryer. We're going to take our dough, wrap it around the shell, and then I'm just going to use my finger here. You can use a brush if you'd like, but I'm just going to put it right here on the edge so it'll stick together. Just give it a little press. I'm going to do this for all 4 molds that I have here. So again, I'm going to take my mold here, wrap my dough around, get a little bit of egg wash on my finger, and close it up. Give it a little press. There you go. 2. Whoop. Going out of order here. Now this is where we have this ugly one. We're gonna fold that over, egg wash it. No one will ever know. Alright, so something that's important to have to make cannolis is you want to have a candy thermometer that goes up to at least 400 degrees because our oil needs to be at 350. You can't guess how hot oil is, so make sure you have one of these. Also, tongs are important because you want to keep your fingers safe. First thing I'm going to do, we're at 350. I'm going to go ahead and take my tongs, make sure you got a good grip, and lower him on in there. Grab. I like to do 2 at a time because I don't want to overcrowd my oil because then it'll cool down. I want to keep it at that 350 degrees. Now we're going to give these little guys 3 minutes, no more, no less. When they're done, use your tongs to pull these little guys out. Make sure no oil is left in the tube and put them on a cooling rack. I don't believe in putting anything on paper towel because the paper towel, if it's sitting there, it's soaking up all that oil that it's sitting in. So you want to make sure that it is free to cool off and it's not sitting in its own grease, alright? I'm going to let these guys cool, and then I'm going to do the rest of my shells. I'm testing to see if these are still really hot. Not too bad. So now what you want to do is you're just going to take your little shell and wiggle them off the tube. Ta-da! Look at that! Perfect! Alright, now let's make our filling. So for our filling, we have an 8-ounce brick of cream cheese. We are going to do about a 1/4 cup of ricotta cheese. And then we're going to do 3/4 cup to a cup of powdered sugar, depending on how sweet you like it. But I'm going to dump this in. And we're going to start just mixing it together with our spatula. Alright, now that I have my cream cheese, my powdered sugar, and my ricotta all kind of mixed in together, I'm going to zest an orange. Just about, I'd say maybe a teaspoon of zest. All you gotta do is take your microplane and your orange and just go back and forth until you start to see it become white. You don't want any of the white part in there because that's bitter. Zest all that beautiful taste into here. It smells so good. There we go. And then I'm also going to add a little bit of my vanilla bean paste here. I grabbed the wrong bottle. Alright, I'm back. Got it. I'm going to add probably about 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla paste. Whoop. There we go. And now I'm going to switch to my whisk so it's nice and smooth because right now it's pretty chunky. Just whip all that together. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Takes a little bit of muscle. But there we go. Ta-da! It won't be completely smooth because ricotta itself is grainy in texture. So we'll just get all of it off of our whisk here. Discard that. Now I'm going to put it into my piping bag. I have a lovely disposable piping bag. They're your best friend. You want to roll it down over your fingers, just like this. Cup your other hand to go underneath and open it up. So it's like that. Now you can fill your bag all by yourself. Use your thumb to wipe off that spatula. Don't overfill it. If you overfill it, you're gonna have a fun time. It's gonna come out the top, ruin your day. So I'm just gonna put it there. We'll move this aside. Pull all these down, squeeze it down like a tube of toothpaste. Push it together, twist it nice and tightly, and we're ready to go. Now that my bag is all ready, I'm going to cut off the end just about 1 inch up. Boop. We have everything twisted tightly. I have my cooled shells. I'm going to take my piping bag, go in one side, and squeeze, and pull all the way back. I kind of do a circular motion as I go around. Other side, circular motion, done. Gonna fill the other ones. Ready? One side, a little bit of a twist. Other side, twist. There we go. I'm gonna get all these filled, and then we're gonna dunk them into mini chocolate chips and pistachios. Now I have all of my little friends filled. I'm going to take mini chocolate chips and pistachios and dunk them in on either side. These ones are a little different. This is made for a friend who only wants one to be in all chocolate chips and then some to be in all pistachios. So it's not your classic, but it's still super delicious. Just dunk them in there. cover each side. And if your filling is nice and sturdy, it shouldn't fall out. Just dunk it on in there. Now for the pistachios. Alright, so here we are, our finished cannolis. They look and smell delicious. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like, comment, let me know, and subscribe to this channel. If you have not yet followed me on Southeast Michigan Vintage on Instagram, please do that as well. Go on Facebook as well at Southeast Michigan Vintage and Antiques. Alright, videos are every Sunday, 9 o'clock. See you next time, guys. Bye.